To have peace. This project is an autobiography of 30 years on this earth. My parents traded their comforts for opportunity, which led them to Oman and the UK. Growing up in both these places and frequent trips to see family in India, I was fortunate to live in contrasting good cultures that gave me the widest perspective possible. However, this left me with a giant puzzle to solve. My skin is dark brown, and my mentality follows the Middle Eastern philosophy that nothing is impossible, and culturally, I'm English. In short, a life constantly lived at these crossroads. So, to have anything good, you need to sacrifice something. There's no joy without suffering, and that's the paradox. Giving up homegrown comforts for another, the domestic tension of cultures, broken relationships, severe imposter syndrome, depression, faith, refaith, failure in secondary education, rediscovery in postgraduate study, a healed family home, marriage, and making meaningful art. As good art does, I pray that this sonic liturgy gives you a chance to contemplate your own life through the experiences of mine, perhaps even draw you towards beauty. Upon finishing this collection of songs, I'm finally at peace with myself and content with the responsibility of a life that is forever at the crossroads. Joy Paradox by Cephas Azariah. So the first track is called Recompose. It's a track that I wrote when I was starting again in life, essentially. I got to 29, 30 years old, and I thought I just needed to rethink a bunch of stuff and come up with a slightly new way of operating and living. Even the way the track starts and develops, it's just trying to tell the story of a new beginning, a fresh start, and a beginning of a new journey. The title track, Joy Paradox, is about realizing that you can't have anything good without suffering of some kind. And I decided to call the album this as well because I felt like it summarized the last 30 years of my life and the journey that myself, my brother, my parents, and the journey that we had been on. We had to make a lot of sacrifices, we had to put a lot of things down to pick things up that we wanted in life. So this kind of felt like the appropriate title, and even the track sways between, two different keys, quite comfortably, very well nuanced in the background. But this is where we begin to kind of hear the story of the tensions and the challenges and the things in life we needed to navigate to have what we want, but then we also had to sacrifice a lot. And that's, Joy Paradox. The third song, Kintsugi, is a song about accepting the broken parts of your life. We, as a family, found this to be quite common, especially since we migrated quite a bit, and we found ourselves in places where we had to give up kind of parts of our culture, parts of what we knew as identity, and move towards trying to fit in all these new places, whether that's, school, community, a church, and we kind of had to accept our brokenness and realize that even though all these gaps are there now that our culture's being pulled apart, whatever was gonna now fill those gaps and the new identity that we were kind of becoming, that was gonna be more beautiful in time, and it's something that only time could help us realize that. And even in the way the songs are written, there's a lot of kind of broken moving parts that I've put together in the song, and there are parts of the song that are more flowy, which kind of resembles the gold that then fills in the cracks, which kind of tells the story of Kintsugi. Contours. Now, I originally wrote this song for dance because I just think dance is the perfect companion for music. This song has only one theme, and it's basically enjoying the journey and trusting the process that you're on, which is kind of best symbolized in dance, because it's not about like the start of the movement or the end of the movement. Dance is the bit in between where you have the flow from one to the other. And there's parts in the music, especially the strings, that really kind of create that bend, and the contours in the music kind of help shape that. But a lot of us, we tried to kind of get to the destination as quickly as possible, but there's actually a lot that we can learn about ourselves and about life on the journey that we're on. And that's what this song is trying to tell you and encourage you. So this song, Manna, is inspired by an old biblical story where there's a bunch of people who are seeking God for something, and every day for the time that they were lost and kind of wandering in the wilderness, they got exactly what they needed. And I think a lot of times in my life, when I was trying to figure out who I was and when I was navigating sort of at every junction, what my identity was, I felt like I had everything I needed. And Manna was the only way I could summarize that process and that kind of place that I repeatedly found myself in, where I was searching for something, or if I was having an existential crisis, or if I had depression and just questioning the point of life. But at each phase, at each kind of season, I had exactly what I needed to get through that. And that's what this song was about. Mellowness of the heart. This song is all about humility. I think oftentimes when I navigate through like an identity crisis or imposter syndrome, which is huge when you're trying to do creative work, I was often reminded to keep the heart in good stead, to keep the heart in a good shape. Because oftentimes when you're contending with something, you can kind of look inside yourself and see the condition of your heart represents how you are on the outside. So it's almost like a little encouragement piece. That's what it is. It's just to encourage you to look at what's going on the inside of you and to make sure that that's good, it's healthy, and then that tends to inform then how healthy you are on the outside and how you live and how you interact with people. Fading Anxieties. It's one of the fewer tracks I recorded on my old piano. You can hear a lot of the quirks of the piano in this track, actually. I wrote this essentially to help me deal with anxiety. And I'm glad it's out there, because I'm sure there are so many people that are dealing with anxiety and on some level. And I hope this helps you as you listen to it. But I wanted to write a song where the gaps in between notes were so long that the listener is almost expecting, or they don't know, but they're kind of anticipating what's next. And as the gaps get sort of longer and longer, hopefully it gives enough space for the listener to hear their own thoughts. And with each note, sort of those thoughts and those anxious kind of feeling slowly starts to kind of dwindle away. Unhurried. This is a bit of a part 2 to a song on my Lunar Tides EP, The Moon Governs the Night. It's really long sounds, patient motifs just trickling away in the background. And it's simply an observation of the current state of culture where everything is fast and everything is operated under a high velocity, and I kind of just wanted to write something that was anti that. Yeah, kind of like the ultimate slowdown track. Amber Clouds is sort of the turning point in this project, starting to see life in a new sort of light and shade. I was driving into town one morning and the sunrise was coming through the fog, and it kind of felt like that was symbolic to where I was at life, and I needed to write a song about, sort of not like a new beginning per se, but everything in the lead up to that now is starting to make sense, and we can kind of begin to head in a direction where you're sort of comfortable with yourself. But also the track has a different pace to the ones previously to it, where it starts to build a bit of momentum. Yeah, next time you see a sunrise, I recommend you put this song on. Faber and Faber Sanctum. If you've ever walked into a cathedral when you're visiting a brand new city, you've probably felt this slight awkwardness when you walk in and you have to be super quiet and you can hear your clothes rustling and you're walking too loud and someone on the inside who's sat there praying is looking over at you thinking, what's this guy up to? Why is he breathing, so loud? That's kind of Faber. Faber and Faber Sanctum are songs about appreciating beautiful architecture, specifically cathedrals, and the slight awkwardness and the patience it requires for you to feel at home in those places. The underlying theme in the songs are me dealing with imposter syndrome, where you kind of always feel awkward at first and you don't feel like you're quite fit or you're supposed to be there. But the longer you're there, you feel more and more at home. The moment you start engaging with the architecture or the icons or just the room and the ambience of the space, you start to feel at home. And Faber and Faber Sanctum tries to talk about that journey. And it gets quite epic towards the end, which is when you look up, stood in the middle of a cathedral, and you're just in awe and wonder of the place. Prologue for Winter is kind of a fitting conclusion of the whole project, because the whole project is about the 30 years of my life and trying to summarize the challenges that have come through that, everything I had to put down and things I had to pick up, understanding and realizing that I'm always gonna be at a junction at any point in my life because of my background and my journey to fitting into new cultures and communities. And this being the oldest song on the project, I wrote at a point in life where I just felt like I was content. I was happy with where things were going, even though I hadn't figured everything out. But I was at peace with the journey that I was on and coming to terms with just being myself and being at peace with myself. And I hope you feel that too when you listen to the song. Thank you so much for listening to this album. I hope all the songs on it help you process life and kind of go through the journey and challenges of life. My hope for you is that it will bring you some kind of peace and kind of internal settlement while you use these songs as sort of an accompaniment for your everyday kind of challenges and highs and lows and wins and lessons. Yeah, thank you.